Let's go. Parker Mecha. Shinko. Parker Mecha. Episode 8. The Angel of the Abyss. Dai 8wa. Shenyuan no Tenshi, the alien world. The seal broke at the hour before dawn, and the entire planet felt it happen. Cassandra Brown was already awake when it happened. She had stopped sleeping through full nights weeks earlier, the Abbadon data pulling at her attention with the same patient insistence that had once kept her staring at a fragmented beacon's drift pattern, until the truth finally surfaced. She felt the change before her instruments confirmed it, a shift in the ambient quality of everything, the specific electric stillness that precedes something enormous finally moving. "Grandmom," her voice carried through the family channel before she had fully processed what she was reporting. "Something just happened. The deep pulse. It stopped." Mary was awake within seconds, the specific quality of a leader who had trained her body to receive crisis at any hour without losing the clarity crisis required. "Stopped or changed?" she asked. Cassandra checked the readout again, her hands steady despite the urgency building beneath her calm. "Changed," she corrected. "It's not pulsing anymore, it's sustained. Continuous. Like a held breath finally being released." Princess Parker's voice joined the channel, the Oracle's full sensor array already sweeping the crystal lattice network with the focused intensity of someone confirming her worst projection. "The entire lattice just synchronized," she said. "Every zone, all at once. The instability we've been fighting for weeks, that it just resolved. Completely." "Resolved how?" Amira asked, her voice carrying the specific edge of someone who understood that resolved rarely meant fixed in situations like this one. Princess was quiet for a moment, the silence itself answering before her words did. "It resolved by stopping resisting," she said finally. "The network isn't fighting the deep signal anymore. It's serving it." The truth. The Valen elders arrived at the settlement's command platform within the hour, summoned by the same urgent transmission that had pulled every family member from sleep. The eldest commander carried with her a sealed archive, crystal encoded, ancient even by Valen standards, the specific kind of record that her order had apparently maintained across generations without fully understanding what it described. "We did not share this before," she said, the translation array carrying her words with unusual gravity, "because we did not believe it was relevant. We believed it was myth. I understand now that I was wrong to make that assumption." The archive opened across the Oracle's display, ancient text resolving alongside Princess's real-time translation. "This describes the binding," the commander continued. "Long before our civilization existed in any form we would recognize, something was sealed beneath this world. Not by us, not by any people whose names survived into our records. The binding was constructed by builders our oldest myths simply call the ones who came before. The same builders, I believe, who built the crystal lattice and the monolith network itself." "They built the lattice to contain it," Cassandra said, the pieces settling into place with the specific clarity that had defined her growth since the empty colonies lesson. "Not as infrastructure. As a cage." "As both," the commander said. "The lattice serves your world in every way you've already documented. It also serves as the architecture of a containment. Two purposes, built into the same system, by builders who understood that anything powerful enough to require containment was also powerful enough to be made useful in its restraint." Mari listened to all of this with the specific, complete stillness she gave to information that reshaped the full scope of a crisis. "And the name," she said. "Abbadon." "Our records use a different word," the commander said. "Older than your language, older than ours in its current form. But the concept translates clearly enough. The destroyer, the one who corrects by unmaking." She paused. "Your own ancient texts apparently arrived at the same concept independently. I find that more unsettling than I expected to." "Different civilizations," Princess said, describing the setting because the thing is doesn't shang basis on first looking at it. The awakening. The swamp's transformation, when the family arrived to confirm what their instruments had already suggested, exceeded every projection. Princess had built across weeks of careful modelling. The crystal growth that had once partially obscured the buried humanoid shape had receded, not destroyed, but withdrawn, as though the chamber itself understood that concealment no longer served its purpose. The figure at the centre of the ancient chamber was visible now in a way it had never been. During the family's first two expeditions, it was enormous, far larger than the partial glimpses of episodes past had suggested, its proportions extending into the chamber's deepest shadows, details resolving only as the combined sensor arrays of all 5 frames worked together to build a complete picture. And it was moving. Not dramatically. Not yet. A slow, deliberate shift of weight, the specific quality of something that had been still for so long that movement itself required relearning. "It's awake," Cassandra said, her voice carrying the weight of confirmation rather than discovery. "Or becoming awake. I don't think there's a clean line between the two states for something like this." Mary held the aegis steady at the chamber's threshold, her barriers already extended in the specific, protective configuration that had defined every crisis this family had faced since their very first rescue. "Everyone stays behind my shield perimeter," she said. "We observe." We do not engage unless engagement is forced on us. Amin moved the vanguard to a position slightly ahead of the formation. Not aggressive, but present, the specific quality of readiness that had always characterized him when something genuinely significant required his attention. It knows we're here, he said. How do you know? Amira asked. Because I would know in its position, Amin said, and because the Alpha Aura is registering something in return. Something is reading me the way every threat assessment system this family has ever encountered reads me. It's just... He paused, searching for the right comparison. Slower, like it's remembering how to look. The first words. The voice arrived without warning, resonant and ancient, carrying through every sensor channel the 5 frames possessed simultaneously. Stillness was the correction, it said. Stillness is ending. The chamber's crystal growth pulsed in response to the words, not threateningly, but with the specific, unsettling quality of an entire ancient system responding to its core's first full vocalization in longer than any record could measure. Cassandra, Mary said quietly, can you respond through the Cyber Viper's communication array? I can try, Cassandra said. She built the signal carefully, drawing on every translation principle the family had developed since their very first contact with the Valen Order. Patience first, listening before speaking, the specific, hard-won wisdom of someone who had learned the cost of overconfidence in a context just like this one. We don't wish to disturb your rest, she said, the words carrying through her own translated signal. But your awakening is causing harm to the people who live above you. We need to understand what you intend. A long pause. Then, intention is irrelevant to correction. What does that mean? Amira asked over the family channel. I think, Princess said slowly, it means it doesn't see itself as choosing anything. It sees itself as a process, the same way weather doesn't choose to be a storm. The lattice held imbalance in place, the voice continued, the words carrying a weight that none of the family's translation work could fully soften. Imbalance accumulates. Correction restores. This is the function. This has always been the function. What kind of correction? Cassandra asked. The response, when it came, settled over the entire family with the specific, cold clarity of a threat that did not require malice to be genuinely dangerous. What does not serve balance does not remain, it said. You are recent. You are unaccounted for. The correction does not yet know what to make of you. The warning encounter. The chamber's energy surged. Not an attack, precisely, but a pulse of raw, ancient power that swept outward from the awakening figure with enough force to register on every instrument the formation carried. Mary's shields absorbed the worst of it, the Aegis's barriers flaring bright gold as they caught the discharge, and dispersed it harmlessly into the chamber's stone walls. That was a test. I'm inside, watching the energy disperse. Not an attack. It's gauging what we can withstand. Then it's gauging us as variables, Cassandra said. Not as threats. Not yet. The figure's form shifted again, more deliberate this time. The specific quality of something testing limbs it had not used in longer than the planet's own geological history could measure. 5 vessels, it said, the voice carrying something that might, in a being capable of curiosity, have resembled interest. Built, not grown. You're not native to this correction. No, Mary said, stepping the Aegis forward with the specific, careful courage that had defined every difficult conversation she had ever conducted on behalf of her family. We came from elsewhere. We did not build the lattice. We did not create the imbalance you're describing. We are simply living within it, the way the people of this world are living within it. A long silence. Then you are also unaccounted for, it said finally. The correction will need to determine what that means. What does that mean for us? Cassandra asked. The answer did not come as words. It came as the chamber's entire structure beginning, slowly and with terrible deliberateness, to shift. Crystal growth retracting further. Ancient architecture groaning under stresses it had not experienced since its original construction. The unmistakable sound of something enormous preparing to move beyond the boundaries that had contained it, for longer than any civilization on this world had existed to measure. This is not the engagement, Mary said, her voice cutting through the family channel with absolute clarity. This is the warning. We withdraw. Now. The retreat. The forge stabilized the chamber's structural collapse as the family retreated, Amira's systems holding back debris that would have otherwise blocked their only exit path. The vanguard cleared the route ahead. The Aegis held the rear guard, its shields absorbing the chamber's continuing tremors. The Cyber Viper captured every final data point the retreating formation could gather. The Oracle mapped the safest possible withdrawal route through terrain that had, in the span of minutes, become considerably less stable than it had been on their approach. They broke the surface as the swamp's atmosphere churned with renewed violence. Not the targeted, deliberate strikes of an active assault, but the specific, unsettling quality of an entire ecosystem responding to a disturbance at its deepest root. Status, Mary said, once the formation had cleared into stable airspace. Everyone's accounted for, Cassandra confirmed. No injuries, no frame damage beyond superficial stress readings. And Abbadon? Amin asked. Princess pulled the deep scan data, her expression carrying the specific weight of someone delivering news she had hoped, against the evidence, not to have to deliver. Awake, she said. Fully awake. As far as I can measure. The chamber's seal, whatever remained of the original containment, that's effectively gone now. It's not bound anymore. It's simply still there. For now. For now, Amira repeated. That's not reassuring. It's not meant to be, Mary said, echoing Amin's own words from weeks earlier, with a specific, weary recognition of a truth that had only grown more urgent since he first spoke it. But it's accurate, and accuracy is what we need right now. The weight of knowing. That evening, the settlement subed the noose with the specific, careful gravity the family itself was processing, not panic, but the genuine sobering understanding that the question they had been investigating for months had finally produced an answer. And the answer was harder than any of them had hoped it would be. Cassandra stood at the overlook with Mary, the same place they had stood together so many times before, looking now at a sky that felt, for the first time since the Parkers' loss, genuinely uncertain. It's not evil, Cassandra said, quietly. Not the way the old Earth stories describe it. It's not malicious. It's just a process. A correction running exactly as it was designed to run. That may be more frightening than malice, Mary said. Malice can be negotiated with, sometimes, reasoned with. A process simply executes. Then how do we stop a process? Mary considered this with the specific, patient honesty she gave to every question her granddaughter asked. But we have something the lattice's original builders may not have had when they first sealed it away. What's that? Each other, Mary said. And whatever help is still out there, looking for us, even now. Far above them, beyond the stars the settlement had learned to call home, a small vessel called the Reunion continued its steady approach, 3 weeks out now, carrying toward a family that did not yet know how urgently they would need every pair of hands the vessel carried. The deep pulse beneath the swamp continued its sustained, patient hum, no longer building toward awakening, because awakening had already arrived. What came next, none of them could yet fully say. But for the first time since the name Abbadon had first resolved on Cassandra's display months earlier, the question was no longer what it was. The question now was simply, what would it do and how much time did they have before they found out? End of episode 8. The Angel of the Abyss. Vamos, Parker Mecha. Cinco, Parker Mecha. Episodio 8. El Ángel del Abismo. Di 8. Shenyuan no Tianxi, el mundo alienígena. El sello se rompió en la hora antes del amanecer, y todo el planeta lo sintió suceder. Cassandra Brown ya estaba despierta cuando sucedió. Sintió el cambio antes de que sus instrumentos lo confirmaran. Un cambio en la cualidad ambiental de todo, la quietud específica y eléctrica que precede a algo enorme finalmente moviéndose. Abuela. Su voz llevó a través del canal familiar antes de que hubiera procesado completamente lo que estaba reportando. Algo acaba de pasar. El pulso profundo. Se detuvo. Mary estaba despierta en segundos. ¿Se detuvo o cambió? Preguntó. Cambió, corrigió Cassandra. Ya no está pulsando. Es sostenido. Continuo. Como una respiración contenida finalmente siendo liberada. La voz de Princess Parker se unió al canal. Toda la retícula se sincronizó, dijo. Cada zona, todas a la vez. La inestabilidad que hemos estado combatiendo durante semanas se resolvió completamente. ¿Resolvió cómo? Preguntó Amira. Princess estuvo en silencio por un momento. Se resolvió dejando de resistir, dijo, finalmente. La red ya no está luchando contra la señal profunda. La está sirviendo. La verdad. Los ancianos Valen llegaron a la plataforma de comando del asentamiento dentro de la hora. No compartimos esto antes, dijo la comandante mayor, porque no creíamos que fuera relevante. Creíamos que era mito. Entiendo ahora que estaba equivocada al hacer esa suposición. El archivo se abrió en la pantalla del oráculo. Esto describe la vinculación, continuó. Mucho antes de que nuestra civilización existiera en cualquier forma que reconoceríamos, algo fue sellado bajo este mundo. No por nosotros. Por constructores que nuestros mitos más antiguos simplemente llaman los que vinieron antes. Los mismos constructores, creo, que construyeron la retícula de cristal y la red del monolito misma. Construyeron la retícula para contenerlo, dijo Cassandra. No como infraestructura, como una jaula. Como ambas cosas, dijo la comandante. La retícula sirve a su mundo en cada manera que ya han documentado. También sirve como la arquitectura de contención. ¿Y el nombre? Dijo Mary. Abbadon. Nuestros registros usan una palabra diferente, dijo la comandante. Pero el concepto se traduce claramente. El destructor, el que corrige deshaciendo. El despertar, la transformación del pantano excedió cada proyección que Princess había construido. El fragmento de cristal que una vez había oscurecido parcialmente la forma humanoide enterrada se había retirado. La figura en el centro de la cámara antigua era visible ahora de una manera que nunca había sido durante las primeras 2 expediciones. Era enorme y se estaba moviendo. Está despierto, dijo Cassandra, o volviéndose despierto. Mary mantuvo el Aegis firme en el umbral de la cámara. Todos permanecen detrás de mi perímetro de escudo, dijo. Observamos. No nos comprometemos a menos que el compromiso nos sea forzado. Eamon movió el Vanguard a una posición ligeramente adelante. Sabe que estamos aquí, dijo. Las primeras palabras, la voz llegó sin advertencia, resonante y antigua. La quietud era la corrección, dijo. La quietud está terminando. No deseamos perturbar su descanso, dijo Cassandra. Pero su despertar está causando daño a la gente que vive arriba de usted. Necesitamos entender qué intenta. ¿Una larga pausa? Luego, la intención es irrelevante para la corrección. El retículo mantuvo el desequilibrio en su lugar, continuó la voz. El desequilibrio se acumula. La corrección restaura. Esta es la función. Esta siempre ha sido la función. ¿Qué tipo de corrección? Preguntó Cassandra. Lo que no sirve al equilibrio no permanece, dijo. Ustedes son recientes. No están contabilizados. La corrección aún no sabe qué hacer con ustedes. El encuentro de advertencia. La energía de la cámara surgió. Mary's shields absorbieron lo peor de eso. Eso fue una prueba, dijo Eamon. No un ataque. Está midiendo qué podemos resistir. 5 vasijas, dijo. Construidas, no crecidas. No son nativas de esta corrección. No, dijo Mary. Vinimos de otro lugar. No construimos la retícula. No creamos el desequilibrio que describe. Entonces también ustedes no están contabilizados, dijo, finalmente. La corrección necesitará determinar qué significa eso. Esto no es el compromiso, dijo Mary. Esto es la advertencia. Nos retiramos. Ahora. La retirada. Rompieron la superficie mientras la atmósfera del pantano se agitaba con violencia renovada. ¿Y Abbadon? Preguntó Amen. Despierto, dijo Princess. Completamente despierto, hasta donde puedo medir. La cámara, lo que quedaba de la contención original, eso efectivamente se ha ido ahora. El peso de Saba, esa noche. Cassandra estaba de pie en el mirador con Mary. No es malvado, dijo Cassandra en voz baja. No de la manera en que las viejas historias de la Tierra lo describen. No es malicioso. Es solo un proceso, una corrección ejecutándose exactamente como fue diseñada para ejecutarse. Eso puede ser más aterrador que la malicia, dijo Mary. La malicia puede negociarse, a veces, razonarse. Un proceso simplemente ejecuta. Entonces, ¿cómo detenemos un proceso? Aún no lo sé, admitió Mary. Pero tenemos algo que los constructores originales de la retícula quizás no tenían cuando lo sellaron por primera vez. ¿Qué es eso? El uno al otro, dijo Mary, y cualquier ayuda que todavía esté ahí afuera, buscándonos, incluso ahora. Muy por encima de ellos, un pequeño vehículo llamado El Reencuentro continuaba su acercamiento constante. 3 semanas ahora, llevando hacia una familia que aún no sabía cuán urgentemente necesitarían cada par de manos que el vehículo llevaba. Fin del episodio 8, El Ángel del Abismo.